and the title Protect What Matters, a step-by-step guide to risk assessment and garment selection. Before we begin, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Isabel Garcia, and I am Commercial Communications Specialist at Fisher Scientific. This webinar is part of a series of 5 webinars organized for the Environment, Health, and Safety Week. These sessions are designed to raise safety awareness and help you better understand how to protect yourself and your work environment at Fisher Scientific. There are still 4 more webinars coming up this week, and you can still register for them. Please note this webinar is being recorded. The recording will be shared with you after the session. And now I'd like to hand over my colleague Eva, who will explain you how the question and answer session will work.
Yeah, hello everyone, and welcome again to today's webinar. And my name is Eva Albertsson, and I will guide you through the Q&A session after the presentation. So you are welcome to ask questions at any time during the webinar. To do so, simply type your questions in the chat box on the right side, excuse me, on your screen. Our expert will do their best to answer your questions during the Q&A session at the end. So over to you, Isabel, again.
Yeah, I think it's time to Steve to start the presentation. Thank you, Eva. So I think we are ready to start the webinar. Today we are joined by Steve Marnach from DuPont. Steve is the EMEA training manager and critical environment expert. He works for DuPont since 1995, so he has a lot of experience in the area of personal body protection and clean rooms. So I'll now hand over to Steve. I wish you all an interesting and informative webinar.
Thank you very much. And as we have seen, the topic today is a step-by-step guide to risk assessment and garment selection. Of course, it's impossible to cover all the topics in 45 minutes, but the idea is to give you really an information of what is important, what are the critical steps to guide you in your process of choosing the right protective garment. And I mentioned protective garment because at Patheon, and I had the pleasure of seeing 3 of your sites already locally, so you have different requirements, and they can be quite diverse, and they define the reasons why you must be wearing the white coveralls. If you are working in a grade AB, a clean room, if you're producing the ready-made medicine, of course, you need to wear a clean room garment that is protecting the medicines that you are producing. So here the focus is on protection of products. But sometimes in some of your locations, you're handling also active pharmaceutical ingredients that are highly potent and a danger to your workers. In that case, you must wear chemically protective garments to make sure that your workers stay safe from the hazardous substances they are handling day in and day out. And last but not least, when you are working in a factory that is producing medical devices, you also must make sure that you are respecting the conditions of sterility or aseptic manufacturing process, and to make sure that you are protecting your patient by making sure that your clean room garments are not giving way to any biological, microbiological contaminations of the products that you are handling. And sometimes there's a mix. So how is this webinar going to work? I will focus on the first area, which is product protection, and then I will switch over to the chemical protection. And last but not least, I will cover the scenario where we'll have the 3 cases that are present at the same time. So when we talk about contamination risk involved with operators wearing clean room garments, well, we are considering the risks of the human contamination, whether it is skin flakes, microbe carrier particles, or aerosols, or sweat, etc., that may contaminate your process and your products. And we are also having a critical look at how you're going to assess your clean room garments to make sure that they themselves are not becoming a risk of contamination in your clean rooms. At DuPont, we have developed 9 steps guides, both for the clean room garments and for the chemically protective garments. I will just quickly go over it. I don't have time to go into detail, but please note that these 9 steps guides, they are available on our websites in our catalogs, and you can read them through at your leisure. When it comes to the 9-step guide for clean room garments, there are several steps that you must consider. First and foremost, you must define your user requirement specifications. What performances are you expecting from your clean room garments, and what are your conditions in your workplace? In the second step, you must assess what are your filtration efficiencies when it comes to bacterial or particular dry particle filtration efficiency. In the third step, you must make sure that your garment is not shedding particles and not bringing contamination into your garments. In the fourth step, if you have an aseptic manufacturing process, that is, you must make sure that your garments that you're using have a sterility assurance level. Step 5, stability testing means you're not just testing one garment, you're testing a whole series of garments to make sure that the garments you're getting from your supplier have the performance that you need each and every time a worker is putting on a clean room garment. Step 6 is often forgotten, but it's very important. It's the packaging system. Look at how the garments are being packed so that you're making sure that they come from your warehouse into your gowning area without representing a risk of contamination. Step 7 is making sure that the garments are aseptically folded and that your gowning and degowning procedures are adapted to the aseptic folding your garments are coming in. Step 8, once you have done all your validation, make sure that you're updating your procedures accordingly with all the different aspects. And in the 9th step, make them integral part of your contamination control strategy. Clean room garments are a critical part of your contamination control strategy and should be revised regularly to make sure that you're always up to date, just in case an auditor comes. So why is this so critically important in the clean rooms? Well, multiple studies have demonstrated that 75% of all contamination inside a clean room is coming from the workers working inside the clean room. From a quality risk management approach, what does this mean? If you're not under control of the 75% of your contamination, you have a serious risk of having outliers and not being in control of your situation and the cleanliness of your clean rooms. Multiple studies have shown that the clean room garments play a very critical role. Here's a study that was run by White and Hijab in the UK, using reusable polyester clean room garments worn by 55 people, 25 male and 30 females, that were doing movements in the body box test study. What the body box is, I will explain a little bit further. For the moment, I like to draw your attention to the fact that even though they were wearing reusable clean room garments, the number of garments measured inside the clean room is very big. Between 80,000 and 1.7 million for the female test persons, and between 220 and 12 million, more or less, for the male persons. In other words, the particles are coming from the human beings, and we all shed different particles all the time, whether we are moving or not. And one person is different from another person. Today, we will not be shedding a lot of particles. Tomorrow, we will be shedding more. It is linked to the fact that we are human beings, and human beings are constantly shedding particles because our skin is constantly being renewed. We're shedding skin flakes, and a lot of the skin flakes have microbial flora on these as well, like Staphylococcus, for example. You cannot change that. So from a quality risk management approach, I would say, get rid of your operators, get it fully automated. But unfortunately, that is not possible in the pharmaceutical world as yet, which remains very much a manual process. So if you need your operators inside your clean room, you must make sure that your clean room garments are an appropriate filter. You cannot stop them from shedding particles, but you can count on your clean room garments to filter out as many as possible from the particles and the microcarrier and particles your operators are shedding. That's why clean room garments are so critically important. They help you keep the clean room clean, as easy as it sounds. If you're counting on your HEPA filter, if you're counting on your air circulation to get rid of contamination, well, I'm sorry, but that's already too late. the particles are already in your clean room. It makes much more sense from a quality risk management approach to make sure that the particles your operators are shedding stay within your clean room garments. And this allows you to meet your requirements for your different classes of your clean rooms. So here is an overview from the GMP Annex 1, showing you both the particles that are allowed for different clean room classes, but also the microbial growth that is tolerated in the different classes. You're very much familiar with that, of course. I would just like to point one element out that has changed in the Annex 1 versus the previous version. That is, if you have any microbial growth in a grade B or A clean room, you must run an investigation down to the species of this microbial growth. Just cleaning and disinfecting is not good enough. You must run a study of where these microbes are coming from. And this is all in line with the underlying philosophy of the new GMP Annex 1, which is asking you to have everything managed inside your clean room based on quality risk management principles, to have a proactive way of identifying and scientifically evaluating potential risks to quality. Exclusively monitoring or testing does not give assurance of sterility. So this is a direct quotation from the new GMP Annex 1 from 2022. And it really shows a few elements. Engineer out the risk as much as possible and mitigate them as much as possible, and have data to validate all the choices that you have taken in your process, to have a proactive means of controlling any risk to quality. Don't count on your particle counters. Don't tell the auditor that you have been using the same clean room garments for 20 years. You have never had an issue and your particle counter is not detecting anything. This will not be good enough. You will have data and studies, garment qualification studies to demonstrate why you have selected these clean room garments that you're currently using. So how can you assess the clean room garments that you're wearing? Well, as I said before, the clean room garments are filtered. So you need to make sure that you're filtering out all the skin flakes your operators are shedding. So you must assess the garment filtration efficiency, which is depending on the fabric used for making your clean room garments, but also depending on the design. How are the seams that are being made? How are the zippers, etc.? All the little elements. If you are still using reusable clean room garments, be aware also that the more you wash, dry, and sterilize them, the poorer their filtration efficiency gets. So you need to also take that aging factor into consideration when you're qualifying your clean room garment systems. What auditors love are standardized test methods. And I give you here a few examples of test methods that you can use for validating your clean room garments. I will start with the dry filtration efficiency. At DuPont, we like very much the EN 143, not only because it is a European standard, but also because it's measuring the particle filtration efficiency with particles having 0.3 micron in diameter. 0.3 micron is the smallest size a human skin flake comes in. They can range between 0.3 and 8 micron. The majority being 4 micron, that's true, but they may be as small as 0.3 micron. So here we are looking at the worst case scenario, the very, very small particles. And you see that with our Tyvek IsoClean, clean and sterile clean room garments, we have a filtration efficiency of 67% at 0.3 micron, at 100% at 1 micron, which is significantly better than reusable polyester clean room garments. So this is respecting also the expectations from the Annex 1, which asks you that you demonstrate that you stay in control of your risk to contamination under all circumstances, including the worst case scenario. Of course, microbial growth is also important to assess the bacterial filtration efficiency. So here at DuPont, we are using the ASTM F2101 because it's using Staphylococcus as a bacteria, which is the most common bacteria sitting on the skin of human beings. So we're taking the most relevant one that you can find. And here we have demonstrated that all of our different Tyvek garments, whether it is a clean and sterile Tyvek IsoClean, but also our industrial Tyvek garments, they have a bacterial filtration efficiency of over 98.5%, so significantly better than reusable polyester cleanroom garments, and at the same level than the cleanroom mask comes in. So that's when it comes to the filtration efficiency to mitigate the risk of human contamination. What about the garments themselves? They could be source of contamination too, right? Well, the particle shedding of the cleanroom garments is depending again on the fabrics that is used for making the garments. If you have a non-woven material, some non-woven materials like microporous film are shedding more particles than our Tyvek from DuPont does. And if you're using a reusable polyester cleanroom garments, also the treatment, the weaving pattern, the carbon fiber that is used to weave into the garments, that has an impact as well. And again, the design plays a role on the particle shedding. The seam used, the sewing thread used for the seams, for example. Also, if you're using reusable cleanroom garments, the more you wash, sterilize, and dry them, the more particles they are shedding. And don't forget to also have a critical look at your supply chain, how you're bringing your garment from the warehouse into the gowning area, because there you may be bringing in contamination as well. How can you assess the particle shedding of the cleanroom garments that you're using? There's a very standardized test method that not only we are using at DuPont, a lot of other companies use it as well. It's the drum test method. It is a stainless steel drum in which you're putting the garments and then you're gently tumbling them. And inside you have a particle counter that is counting and measuring the particles and measuring the size of the particles. The less particles you detect, the better it is. So category 1 is the best result possible. And for each and every one of our clean and sterile Tyvek IsoClean garments that we are selling to you over your friends at Thermo Fisher Scientific, you get a certificate of compliance, which is stating that the garments inside the box that you received meet the category 1 drum cleanliness level. So something easy to document in case an auditor comes, you pull out the report and check mark achieved. How can you assess both the particle shedding of the garment and the filtration efficiencies? Well, there's only one test method that is available. It's the body box. The body box is like a mini clean room in which you're putting an operator wearing a clean room garment system consisting of the coverall, boot covers, hood, clean room mask, goggles, and gloves, which will be performing a series of movements, and you're measuring the particles that are being released in this mini clean room by particles per cubic meter of air. It's the only test method that meets with the requirement of 0.712 in the Annex 1, which states that clothing should be chosen to limit shedding due to operators' movements. The drum is nice to measure the particle shedding of the garments, but it's just a garment. The bacterial filtration efficiency and the particle filtration efficiency, again, only gives you data on the garments. But this body box test is the only way how you can assess the particles released when a test person is moving inside the clean room. Well, the disadvantage of the body box is, however, that it cannot distinguish between microbes, microbial contamination, and dry particles. That's not possible. So it is complementary to the other tests I've just shown. So you need to have a look at the different aspects altogether. And here you see some test results of our Tyvek IsoClean garments, clean and sterile. You see that in the body box test study we did, we had 0 particles of 5 microns and bigger. Logic, because our Tyvek has a particle filtration efficiency of 100% for everything that is bigger than 1 micron. And we have 1025 particles of 0.5 micron because it's smaller than 1 micron. Still good enough for GMP grade AB clean rooms. You can, if you're using reusable polyester clean room garments, body box can also be used for checking the aging of your clean room garments. So here in the bottom overview, you see a test that was run by the Italian Professor Romano and the Swedish Professor Reinmüller and Lundqvist that were using the body box to measure what effect the washing, drying, and sterilization, in that case autoclaving, has on the garments. And as you can see, even at start already, the garments were shedding much more particle than our Tyvek IsoClean, but after 30 wash, dry, and sterilization cycles, you have 30% more particles that are being released. Sterility. How can you assess sterility? A little detail that has changed with the new GMP Annex 1. Before, in a grade AB environment, you had to use a garment that was sterile or sanitized. The word sanitized has disappeared. Sanitized basically means disinfected. So when the Annex 1 is asking for sterile garments in grade AB environment, they are asking for a validated sterilization process in place. At DuPont, we use the ISO 11137 as a standard, and we supply you a certificate of sterility, giving you a sterility assurance level of 10 to the -6 with each and every box of garments that you buy from us over Thermo Fisher Scientific. Again, a nice way of proving to your auditor that your garments are really sterile. Packaging, very important. Make sure that you have sufficient layers of packaging to bring your garments from the warehouse into your gowning area. As you can see here, the example of our Tyvek IsoClean coveralls and boot covers, we have a multiple system of 4 layers of packaging, a transparent bag, an opaque bag, a closed inner liner, an open liner, and then cardboard box to make sure that from the warehouse, each time you take off 1 layer of packaging until the gowning area where you can store your garment until you put them on, just to make sure that you have no risk of contamination bringing in the garments. Now the third element, what are you going to do if you have chemical hazards for your operators? In that case, we have a different 9-step guide, and this is based on the chemical and biological protection that you need from the garments. And again, it's available in full detail in our on our website, in our catalog. Feel free, they are free of charge, of course. Don't hesitate to have a look at it. Ask your Thermo Fisher Scientific sales rep, and they will provide you the information as well. Here, in a nutshell, the first step, you must understand what are the chemical hazards you're talking about. What is the state of a chemical? Is it a solid? Is it a liquid? Is it a gas? What is the size of the particle if it's a dry liquid? A dry particle, sorry. What is the concentration if it's a liquid chemical? All these information you need to gather first. Are you mixing 2 chemicals together? They become something else. Are you heating up a liquid chemical which may start emitting vapors? All that you need to gather first. And in the second step, you must look at what is the risk of exposure for your workers during the different tasks they are doing. As always, engineer out as much chemical risk of contamination as possible. The PPE is the last line of defense, but critically important. In case your engineering methods fail, your life may depend on the PPE performing. So have a very close look at the different risks of contamination. Is it short-term? Is it long-term? Is it a few droplets? Is it a big splash? All these questions you must assess. And in the third step, understand what are the negative health impacts the chemicals have onto your operators. There's only a very small fraction of chemicals that are really corrosive, that really hurt when they touch the skin. A lot of the chemicals, they go through your skin into your bodies. You don't even notice it. You don't even feel it. But you must be aware, and you must also sensitize your operators on the chemical hazards, not only short-term, but especially also long-term they may have. Is it toxic? Is it mutagenic? Is it reprotoxic, carcinogenic, etc.? All these information you find on the safety data sheets for the chemicals that you must be having in your area. And once you have these 3 information, in the 4th step, you look at how the protective requirements are that the garments that you're using are offering you. Do you need, if you have very fine powders, for example, it's better to take a garment with overtaped seams, because when you're stitching it, the needle is leaving a hole, which may be bigger than the particles that you're handling. For example, if you're wearing a full face mask, make sure that you take a coverall with a chin flap or special neck to make sure that there's no part of the skin of your operators exposed when you're wearing these masks. In the fifth step, you need to make sure that the garments are mechanically strong enough to withstand the tasks. In the laboratory, it's not so much an issue, but if you have maintenance workers, they are working physically hard, and the garments should not tear. A garment that is tearing is not protecting you. And comfort only comes in the sixth step. Yes, even in Monza and in Rome when summer. Why? Because comfort could never be at the expense of safety. These are safety garments. So you don't take a very breathable garment, because the more breathable the garment, the less protective it is. Really make sure you're not compromising the safety. And in the seventh step, make sure that you're buying your PPE, not only coveralls, but any PPE from a reputed supplier. They will give you all the advice, all the technical questions you may have. They will stand for the quality, consistent quality of the PPE that you're using day in and day out. They're making sure that you have enough stock in place, that you're always getting the garments that you need when you need them. You don't want to run out of garments in the middle of a shutdown, the worst case scenario, and then you take anything you can get. No, take a reputed supplier like we are at DuPont. Step 8, very important, train your operators in putting on the garments, the gloves, the mask correctly. We very rarely get complaints about somebody getting contaminated, but in 9 out of 10 cases, it is because the operator made a mistake. Some people are not wearing these garments every day. So plan in regular training and retraining sessions so that your operators know how to wear the garment. And last but not least, whenever you introduce a new PPE, have a wear trial under safe conditions first to really make sure that the garment is, or the other PPE, glove, mask, is ticking all the boxes and offer the protection that you need. When we talk about chemical protection, of course, your clean room garment must also be a chemically protective garment. It must comply with the ISO 16602 and CE certified as chemical protective garment to one of the 6 types that you see here. I can't explain the detail for time reasons, but you find, again, this information on our website as well. Have a look for the pictogram that you see there. And if you're using a sterile garment, make sure that the garment has been CE certified after the sterilization, not before, because due to the sterilization, the garment is losing it, has a loss of properties and is no longer CE compliant. We at DuPont, we are doing that. We CE certify our Tyvek ISO clean garments after sterilization. How can chemicals go through the garments that you're using? There are 2 ways. It's the penetration and permeation. Penetration is the easiest of the 2. Whenever you have a liquid, a solid, or gas molecule of a chemical hazard that is smaller than the openings, the holes, or the pores in your, forgot to switch off the sound, then it will not be going through. It's basically a filtering process. So if the droplets or the particles are smaller, they will go through. And this must be assessed both on the garments, but also on the seams. There are different types of seams that are more or less tight. You see here on the right-hand side of the screen, or more or less in the middle, a reusable polyester clean room garments, which is a woven structure. And whenever you have a woven material, or in a grade CD workwear, you have woven material, at the intersection, you always have a hole. And this pore size of the hole will determine the protection you get from the penetration of chemical hazards. If, for example, your pore size is 5 micron, this means that any particle smaller than 5 micron will go through. If you have a Tyvek material, like on the left-hand side of the screen, you see that we don't have such holes. So our penetration protection against white particles is significantly better. Don't forget the seams, okay? A normal stitched seam is not as good as a bound seam or a stitched and over-taped seam. And to demonstrate that, a little video I'd like to share with you. Available on YouTube as well. I'll spare you the music. So here you see a difference between a Tyvek material and a reusable polyester woven cleanroom garment. So first, we're just using a little bit of water to see what is the penetration of liquid. And you see with Tyvek, nothing is going through, but because the reusable polyester garment is a woven material, of course, the droplets are going through the holes. And what about dry particles? So here we have 0.22 micron dust that we are using. And then we're putting some air at the bottom. And then we just look what happens once we let the air blow. Nothing is going through Tyvek, but all the solid particles, they are going through the garment because it's a woven material. The other way how chemicals are going through the garments that you're using is permeation. Now, permeation is only happening with liquids or with gases. It's a chemical process happening at molecular level. If the chemical has the same polarity than the polymer out of which your garment or your seam is being made, it is going through. Here, a little video to demonstrate that as well. It is not that there are holes or stuff. No, it is because has the same polarity. The polymer is like opening up and letting the chemical hazards go through. The material is not damaged in any way. You won't see it. Also, it's an unstoppable process. Once the chemical has started permeating through your material, it will continue until it is on the other side. Permeation is also critically important for your chemically protective gloves. And it's the reason why you should always replace your chemical protective gloves at the end of the day. Because even if you're not using the garments or the gloves overnight, they may be permeating through. The only seams offering protection against permeation are stitched and over-taped seams, which are the best, or welded and over-taped seams. Yeah. Sorry for the issue. On our DuPont SafeSPEC's website, you see the address here. We have an online selector tool with over 1,000 data of liquid or gas chemicals that you can look up the permeation data for the different chemicals that you will be handling, whether it is an organic solvent or whether it is a cytotoxic drug. We have them all, and you can easily download it also as an app or look it up on our website. Don't hesitate. It's free of charge, of course, and you will get all the information, the actual breakthrough time, the 0.1 micron breakthrough time, and the 1 micron breakthrough time. Now, which garment is the right one for you at Patheon? Does it have to be a single-use garment, or can it be a reusable cleanroom garment as well? Well, it all depends. If you need to protect only your products, you can use both. If, however, you need to protect your workers from hazardous chemicals or biohazards, then you can only use single-use cleanroom garments, because reusable polyester cleanroom garments are not offering chemical protection. They are not offering biological protection. They are just plain workwear. They are not protective cleanroom garments like our Tyvek IsoClean garments are. In our offering of clean and sterile only Tyvek IsoClean cleanroom garments, we have a series of coveralls and different accessories. They are all the clean garments. They are clean processed. They are washed in a clean room laundry. And both the sterile only and the clean and sterile products, they are packed in an ISO 4 clean room. They are all aseptically folded. They have a sterility assurance level of 10 to the -6, and they have all been CE certified after sterilization, like I said before. When to the coveralls, we have two models. We have one model without a hood and without attached overboots, which is meeting, of course, all the cleanliness requirements for grade AB environment, health with ROM category 1 as well. and also type 5.6 chemical protection and biological protection according to EN 14126. And this must be worn together with our anti-slip boot cover, which has an excellent clean room anti-slip, so excellent anti-slip properties and also meeting the cleanliness that you need. And we have two types of masks, either without an integrated mask or my preferred one with an integrated triple ply clean room mask to complement the coverall. Of course, these partial body protection are also CE certified as chemically protective garments and are clean for the clean and sterile and sterility assurance level 10 to the -6. For the boot covers, I forgot to mention, we have 4 different sizes from small to XL. We have the right size for every one of you. And we have also a fully hooded and footed coverall, the IC193, which has an integrated hood and integrated boot covers. It's a little bit more tricky to do the aseptic gowning, but it's a perfect solution in case you don't have a lot of space in your gowning area. Some gowning areas in clean rooms are ridiculously small. So if that's the case for you, this is a good option for reducing the number of packs you have inside your clean room. All you need for this garment to complement it is a clean room mask and 2 pairs of clean room gloves, and you're ready to go. For the grade CD clean rooms, we have a series of chemically protective garments. Here, just a quick overview. I won't have time to go through them all, of course. I will just focus on the most important ones for you. We have also a whole series of different accessories, whether it is lab coats, aprons, jackets, trousers, sleeves, boot covers, shoe covers, with or without anti-slips or hoods. We have everything that you need. And I forgot to mention those that are most relevant for the pharmaceutical industry and which some of you are already using is, for example, our Tyvek 600 Plus, because it has over-taped seams and is specifically well suited if you're handling APIs in very fine micronized shape of powders. But also our Tyvek 500 Expert is quite frequently used, and our Tyvek 500 Labo is used if you want to protect also your shoes from getting contaminated, because this garment has integrated boot covers as well. If you need constant protection against highly concentrated chemicals in liquid or in gas form, we have our Tychem range of products. Our Tychem TK is our gas-tight garment, and I do hope that you do not need it. And then we have our Tychem garments offering protection against highly concentrated chemicals, the Tychem 6000F for highly concentrated organic chemicals and inorganic chemicals, the Tychem 4000S for inorganic concentrated chemicals, and some, not all, some organic chemicals, and our Tychem 2000C for only inorganic chemicals. We have different designs in it as well. If you have an HPAPI that you're handling where 1 nanogram can be fatal to your workers, it would be a good idea to have our Tychem 6000 AL, because this is a fully ventilated garment with a separate air supply to make sure that your operators stay protected. But in most cases, if you're handling organic solvents, our Tychem 6000F Plus or our Tychem 6000F face seal for the maintenance workers is the right choice. And also here we have a limited arrangement of accessories, whether it is gowns, aprons, sleeves, or boot covers in both the Tychem 2000C and Tychem 6000F materials for your laboratory workers, for sample taking, etc., to make sure that they stay protected against highly concentrated chemicals. And this brings me to the conclusion. Don't forget that clean room garments play a critical role in your operating process, whether it is a grade AB clean room or grade CD clean room. These garments not only make sure that your clean rooms stay clean from any contamination coming from your operators, but in some cases as well offer you the chemical protection and the biological protection that you may need. And that's all I had foreseen for you today. I will conclude by giving you just a reminder that on our YouTube videos, you can also find donning and doffing videos, whether it is for our Tyvek IsoClean garments or whether it is for chemically protective garments. So don't hesitate to pay a visit to our YouTube channel. And over to you, Eva. Do we have any questions?
Yes, I have. And many thanks for an interesting presentation, Steve. And yeah, so now it's time for the Q&A session. So the first question we have for you is, you did not mention sustainability. How sustainable are your Tyvek single-use garments?
That's a very good question, Eva. So we're talking here about single-use garments, whether it is Tyvek or Tychem. And you must distinguish between the two elements. For the Tyvek garments, we are already using a very sustainable process of manufacturing our Tyvek material. For example, our Tyvek lines are here in Luxembourg. We have 3 Tyvek lines in Luxembourg. We only use renewable energy, 100%, to operate our plants. We do not have any emissions on our Tyvek manufacturing process. All the internal waste that is produced during our manufacturing process is recycled by our online recycling unit, and this since 1988. So we have not been waiting. Already when we build these factories, we try to make it as sustainable as possible. And since a couple of months, we are using as a polymer either recycled or bio-based credits for the polymer in a mass balance approach to make sure that also there our polymer comes from sustainable element. Now, if the garment has not been chemically contaminated, it can be recycled. We have a recycling program which is running in Germany, where we have pharmaceutical companies like Boehringer, for example, that is sending us back their non-contaminated garments, and they are being converted into HDPE pellets, which is a high-value polymer. So the process is also financially sustainable, unlike polyester. Nobody is recycling polyester garments because they would be losing money. It's far more efficient to recycle polyester bottles. Nobody is recycling polyester garments. If the garments are contaminated, then unfortunately it's forbidden to recycle them, because they become a hazardous waste, and as by the European and national legislations, they must be incinerated. So there's no way you can recycle them.
Thank you. Sounds
Sorry for the long
great.
answer.
Yeah. So to the next question then. We are using reusable cleanroom garments in our facility. Won't we sweat too much in Tyvek IsoClean?
Well, this is a question that comes up very often, but it only comes up in questions before the wear trial. There's a conception that Tyvek is less breathable than polyester cleanroom garments, which is reality. Tyvek is not as breathable, but the filtration efficiencies are much better. But in the clean room, in the grade AB clean room, you have a controlled temperature between 90 and 20 degrees centigrade, and you have a lot of air exchanges. And you are moving slowly. You're not doing any physical weightlifting, for example. So comfort is not an issue. It's an issue in the discussion, but once people are wearing the garments in the clean room, they realize, hey, it's perfect. Some people even say that in the reusable polyester clean room garments, they are feeling cold, not in Tyvek IsoClean. So there's no problem with comfort.
Sounds great. Then we have a third question here. How can we find out if we are using the right garments in our production?
Well, it comes back to the 9 steps guys I've briefly shown. Now, all depends on your production process, of course, what you're doing, what your requirements are, etc. But whatever you do, we have to write. It sounds a little bit arrogant, but it's reality, because we have so many different garments. We certainly have the right garments for you. So don't hesitate to reach out to your Thermo Fisher Scientific sales rep, who will team up with our DuPont sales rep, and we will more than happy to pay you a visit to assess your needs for your different steps in your production and recommend you the right product, the right garments, or it can also be an accessory only to offer you the protection that you need, whether it is for your product, for your operator, or for both.
Thank you. And then we have the last question for you, Steve. And how do I notice in worst case that droplets have come through the garment?
Unfortunately, in most cases, you don't see it. So, and you don't feel it because a lot of chemicals, they are not corrosive, they are not itching. You don't only realize it. Especially if you're using white workwear and you wear inside the garments, you don't see any stain on the garments because your API is white. So it's very, unfortunately, it's very difficult to see if you got contaminated or not. Always assume that you are contaminated when you're taking off the garment. Sometimes if you're handling oil, you see black stains on the garment, but normally you don't see anything because a lot of your chemicals are transparent or they are white and no chance of seeing it. Assume that the garment is contaminated and take it off safely according to the right doffing procedures to make sure you're not getting contaminated.
Hey, thank you, Steve. I think we have gone through all the questions for this webinar today. So I hand over to you, Isabel.
Thank you, Eva. Yes, it seems that we don't have any more questions. So thank you for a very informative webinar, Steve. That was a great session, and I'm sure our audience appreciate it. So a special thank you to you, Steve, for your time and for sharing your expertise with us today. So before we close the session today, just a quick reminder. We still have 4 more webinars this safety week with Ansel, Asecos, Just Treat, and Ready. So make sure to register yourself if you haven't done so already. So, and see you in tomorrow's Safety Week webinar with Ansel and the topic related to hand protection and more. Have a great day, everyone, and goodbye for now.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.